And because of a fun little oh, I'm not sure if it counts as oversight or glitch, but in Golden Sun I've noticed if the enemies that come from the chest are ever more than one, like in this case, then the chest never disappears. So hypothetically you could just refight this boss as much as you want. So the game never really ends, it lasts as long as you want it. Anyways, let's show off the two things that we really got from this fight. As I mentioned, you can fight these in either order, so you can like take the rewards you got from this and go fight Deadbeard if you want. And these are just as broken, if not more so, than having the Soul Blade and the armor. Heroic Charm, token of strength and strong will. Permanently gives you 2 turns. Increases crits. Has +5 synergy recovery, and bestows synergy itself. Now maybe I should just equip it. Also, it counts as a Djinn charm, so I wonder what the synergy could possibly be. Secondly, the Draconian Mitts. I believe they're the strongest mitts in the game. They definitely have the biggest boost in power and resistance. And if that's not enough, then the synergy you get from them will be. We're just so good with... So, swords are always going to be stronger than mitts, so... I think it's worth showing this off just to showcase what I mean. And because there's not really anything else left in the game to fight against, let's just go fight Heartbreak again so I can show off the new stuff. The synergy we get is Aurora. It's an AoE synergy recovery and covers speed. It is based on the Dark Dawn Djinn, but because that sort of mechanic that the Dark Dawn equivalent doesn't exist in Golden Sun 1 and 2, this is probably the best closest. Well, I think it actually existed in Lost Age, I have to double check that. I spent so much time playing Golden Sun 1, making Dawn of Djinn. Oh, that's right, because we have the Heroic Charm, we permanently get 2 turns. I already forgot about that gimmick. Let's see if we can get, let's see if we can get another Magneto. So it may not seem like a lot, but remember that they resist fire a lot. And I've done fire summons against the guys. I think I've done Pyroclasm, and you saw how much that did. And that is supposed to be like the strongest, normally the strongest synergy in Vanilla Golden Sun. So yeah, I think that's a fair demonstration of just how powerful the new equipment we got is. Now to see if I can run away. Like, I kind of wish I could take this out because there's been a couple times in playtests that I've done it by accidentally run away by accident. I might have intentionally boosted up their level to prevent that from being a thing, but it does leave the fact there that if you do want to run and can't, it might screw you over even more. Okay, I think I did actually implement that thing, and I'm gonna get screwed over because of it. Is it really the end of the world if we wait out? Like, we don't lose money, we actually probably get sent... It might actually be quicker to die. Because we get sent back to the Sachem and all that. And in order to hit the end of the game, we gotta go back to Set Sachem. I know I wanted to make it harder to run to prevent you from accidentally screwing yourself. Because imagine the other scenario where we've like spent so much time in this fight. You've took out the Lord of Djinn, assuming that you don't go for Heartbreak first. And she's all that's left, and you're just about to go for that tier 4 summon to end the fight. And you get so excited you press right one too many times in the menu and hit run instead of fight. I would joke that hasn't happened to me, but I think I even just said that literally happened to me. So yeah, that's... Even with fast travel, I think that's slightly quicker. It was slightly quicker to wait out to the boss. Okay, so... Wow. that's everything in Dawn of Djinn. At least until version 2 is made, and honestly back when I made Dawn of Djinn version 1, I wasn't into Paper Mario modding, so I was able to put a lot more focus on just Dawn of Djinn. But now that I'm working on Sweet Expedition and doing other stuff like that, it takes a lot longer to do projects. And even when I was like dedicating myself completely to Dawn of Djinn, it's still like there's still like a 6-month time period where it's just completely out of light. I still can't believe I made the mod that fast, all things considered. Then again, if you include like some of the updates, minor updates I made along the way, then Dawn of Djinn wasn't that long. Like it would probably been just like a year of development before I was finally done. Like I'm not updating this game anymore until version 2 is made. So yeah, there's something a little underwhelming about going into the end game almost dead. But maybe there's a little humor to that. I think that's it though. And without the dialogue, it's gonna be a little underwhelming. I know it's the biggest criticism I've heard about the game, and don't worry, I've heard you all mention it. It is going to happen someday. It's the whole reason I'm making Second Mix. Specifically because I couldn't make a dialogue version of Dawn of Djinn without completely making it from scratch. And I figure if I'm making it from scratch anyways, why don't I just make a whole new version? They give me a chance to actually make a class system, and honestly the class system is done. Like it's not playtest as much as I want, but the class is done. I just have to like get off. I just have to get done with Sweet Expedition so I can actually work on literally everything else. Who knows, maybe if I don't touch Dawn of Djinn before the end of the year, I'll just release a beta of just the classes. It might be a little underwhelming because I haven't even really edited too much of the enemies, so like the stronger, there'll probably be a bit of power creep taking all the stronger moves against vanilla enemies. But it is something to consider. And now that I threw it off there in the YouTube ether, I can't pretend that I just at least can't pretend that it didn't exist. So hey, that's it. I finished not only making Dawn of Djinn version 1, but I finished playing Dawn of Djinn version 1. And I think I got plenty of time to talk about everything else. I feel, despite the risk of sounding like a broken record, this was definitely a passion project from the very beginning. I've used the metaphor of like, it's going to be a birthday present to me. As I was working on it and October came around, thinking of making a video showing off, just saying, and making like a title of, this is a birthday present to myself because Camelot's not making the remake for me. And like Golden Sun as a series has been a huge inspiration and motivator towards my interest in game design in general, so it makes sense if I was ever going to get into modding anywhere, it would be of Golden Sun. Like dream game, a video game I've always wanted to make that still sits in the back of my mind today, though it mostly only lives through OC art and stuff like that. Golden Sun influenced all those ideas so much. And guess now's a good time to go into the whole inspiration of getting into modding in the first place. Like, it was in the moral gray ground for me for a long time, and there's still some days that I kind of still feel in the morally gray area. But then there was one day that there was a Lux are great. Now I want to check Discord real quick because I'm still in their Discord server. There's a game that I found on Kickstarter called Lux Parama that took heavy inspirations from Golden Sun, and I was thinking that maybe we're finally at the point where that Golden Sun game that I've always wanted to exist is finally going to be. So I was really pushing the Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter failed. It didn't... I wouldn't say that the game is dead, but that really just pushed things back for them, and I don't know when, if ever, that game's going to come to be. And it kind of just kicked me in a way to remember. We're not going to use this Toby Springs save file anymore. We're probably not going to use any of these save files anymore. But still. Seeing that fail just inspired me all again that if I want the game that I want to exist isn't going to exist unless I push for it myself. But I've really tried to get into game design multiple times. I went to school for game design and development, and just between like the struggles with programming and learning more about the industry, especially for AAA development, I realized that just going for game design in the traditional sense was gonna be miserable and wasn't even gonna get me what I wanted in the end. So what was the point? So at that point I transferred over to, honestly, a stupid degree. It's supposed to be like my middle ground between, I wanted to go into graphic design, and I got pushed into the middle ground of new media interactive development. It's supposed to be like a middle ground between the game design and the graphic design, but because I was in the development side and not the designer side, I got pushed into the programming that I wanted to get away from in the first place. To the point of like, our final project was a team project, and I feel terrible because cool that the first fight that they go into in this game mode that I was going to like get away from boss fights and show things off in other ways. Of course we run into a boss fight here. Back to story time though. So yeah, despite my best efforts, going to school for game design didn't really work out. And back when I was in college, like, the indie game scene wasn't really a thing, like Braid. Back when I was in college, like, people were just starting to talk about Braid as this big indie game that was like really shaping the industry altogether. But people weren't convinced that like indie development was going to be a sustainable career choice at that time. And I kind of wish that things like Undertale and other AAA games that just take Undertale, Celeste, and other small team, independently developed games were more of a thing back when I was in college, because maybe that would have pushed me to keep through with it. Like, sure, I didn't want to work under a company like Nintendo or Microsoft or Activision or stuff like that, but maybe if those people were in my life sooner, I could like have been interested in sticking through and actually getting the programming stuck in my face, so I could actually make my own games and actually live out the dreams I wanted since I was a child. And this is a bit of a chance to get back to the whole, like, so like there was a long period of time that just like I was content just building out the ideas in my head, even though I was convinced I was never actually going to implement them. And then that game failed its Kickstarter and just like gave a push a shove in my face that the dream game that I want to exist isn't going to exist. I need to put it into existence myself. But because I was already discouraged from programming, it just feels pointless to go back that route again, so I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna learn how to mod. And while I haven't, like, I don't feel like I've actually learned how to mod. Like, the stuff I do would not be possible if it weren't for all the tools that already exist in the Golden Sun modding community. Like, I kept, even though the development part of my schooling in game design never really stuck, I can at least say that the design part, like development being programming, while design being like it's more than just the ideas, but that's kind of the simplest way to think it. Like knowing how to make a game versus knowing how to program a game, if that makes any sense. The point being, like, the design part of my schooling stuck, but the development side didn't. And that's probably just the only reason I'm as good as I am, because the tools that already exist were taking care of the development part, and I already had a little bit of an idea of how to design a game because of the game design part that stuck in my head. And honestly, I'm still not... I would still rather prefer to actually make my dream game, but Dawn of Djinn was still the closest I've ever gotten to that dream, and for that alone, it's made me incredibly happy that this exists. And while I wish I was younger and wish I'd gotten this stuff sooner, it's not like I'm old yet. Like, I'll just say I'm over 30, but still in the lower end of those 30s. Sure, I've been... So as long as I live a decent life, I still got time. And everything I do is a step forward. That's at least the way I gotta look at it. And I'm a little conflicted about the modding going forward because, like, I'm enjoying the stuff I do. Like, even though I enjoy Golden Sun much more than I do Paper Mario, the tools that Star Rod make modding in Paper Mario incredibly rewarding, even more than just because they feel so much more than what I could ever do with the tools that currently exist for Golden Sun. Excuse me. Wow, I am almost out of energy points already. Well, I said I would use the side miracles before the end of the playthrough. I never said it had to be in an actual fight in the playthrough. I can't believe I'm trying to brute force my way through this anyways. I'm getting sidetracked. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Yeah, like, I'm really looking forward to sharing more of the Sweet Expedition stuff in particular, because not only is the demo pretty much its own standalone mini-mod, really living up to that at the very least, a lot of the stuff I do in this demo can actually be implemented into Sweet Expedition as full. So I think that will be pretty fun to play around with in and of itself. And I was going into that tangent because I'm like, sure, if I wasn't modding, I could actually work on making a quote-unquote real game, making that dream game I want, but I'm kind of pretty happy doing this stuff too. And the fact that I was actually able to accomplish this, I pretty much made a Golden Sun game, even if there's still elements of my dream game that I need to be beyond Golden Sun itself in order to implement, despite all the inspirations that it takes from this. Point being is that there's room to grow. I feel like the moment I learn how the program and retained it, is when I become invincible. At least in the metaphorical stance. Like, the sky's the limits once I unlock whatever's been holding me back from that in particular. So we'll see what the future holds. 2023... I'll be honest, like, minus Dawn of Djinn and the stuff I've done in modding as a whole, 2022 was a terrible year for me. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, especially on the health side, that really just made life as a whole discouraging. And knock on wood, but so far, 2023 has been going a lot better in a health sense, so I think and I have so much, I'm so much better at this modding stuff than I was in 2022. So I think with all that alone, I'm in a much better place in my life than I was back then. So yeah, I guess the moral of the story is bring on 2023. I'd love to actually have version 2 of Dawn of Djinn by the end of the year, but honestly, let's focus on trying to get through Sweet Expedition first. Then I can start worrying about other Golden Sun projects going forward, because I've had people... I'm not sure if people directly ask me about it, but I know they're at least thinking about it. What about the Lost Age? Well, if you missed the part of the conversation where I talked about how, like, I spent so much time working on Dawn of Djinn that I have not even finished a full playthrough of the Lost Age in years. If you really want to know, go to my channel and search for my Golden Sun Lost Age LP. Look at the date of the last episode of that, and that'll be... It's not that I haven't played Golden Sun since then, but like maybe add a couple years to whatever that date is, and that was the last time I've last played Lost Age. It's definitely that Let's Play was definitely the last time I've done a full playthrough. Also, once you go to the finale and get the date, click away from the video. It's kind of cringe, honestly. Yeah, it's probably... I hate saying that the most, because it was definitely some of the most work I put into it LP. Like, it had graphics and all this cool stuff and everything. And then I had to ruin it because I'm a Jenna fan. And back then, counters were funny, so... Oh shoot, I forgot. In the dialogue-less version, there's no running. But yeah, I kind of, like, had a funny joke and, like, killed the entire Let's Play because I didn't let the joke die. And it still haunts me to this day, because that if it wasn't for that one thing, that Let's Play could have lasted Testaments of Time. But no, I just thought, like, being over-exaggerating your fanboyism is funny. Counters are funny. Why not just super over-exaggerate everything and be funny? Spoilers. It's not funny, or at least not anymore. Okay. Let me check the time of the stream, because I definitely am just talked about everything of the project itself, and I'm just going over time.